All right, guys, this is number 6. I appreciate you guys joining me today. And for episode number 6, we're simply going to do a question video. And with that, we have 7 questions. Just like the first episode, we have 7 questions. And the first question is from Rick from St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, I've been there. I went to the Arch a couple times. Really neat place. I went to one St. Louis Cardinals game. That was really cool. All right, so the question is from Rick. He talked about, are you a supporter of Vegas Dave or GaryVee? That's a good question, Rick. And if you're new to the hobby, if you haven't done research, Vegas Dave, he's the one that bought a Mike Trout Super Refractor autograph. Okay, I think it was back in 2018, 19. So it's Mike Trout really established himself as one of the best players in the modern era. So he wasn't really brilliant about picking Mike Trout because he was kind of really good. And I think anybody in the hobby would have said, yeah, Mike Trout's the best player. So he bought this card and it was a super fractor. And even I know that shiny cards people like, and autographs of players people like, and graded cards people like. So Vegas Dave just had a brilliant mind and bought up this card for $400,000. And back then, in the card market, that was a lot of cards, a lot of money. But, Vegas Dave, he's a character. He lives in Las Vegas. And he's one that, just goes to clubs and spends too much money. So he does a lot of investments in things like purses and probably cars, but also cards. So the card that he bought was a Mike Trout Super Fractor. Okay, so he's got that one card. And about 2 years later, he decided to sell that card, and he actually, I think it sold for about $2 million. So yeah, he did times it by a good amount. He did make some money, but yeah, like I said, that was kind of an investment where I think anybody that just had $400,000 would have been like, yeah, that's good. That's a good investment. So to give you an idea, kind of lines up with this card a little bit. So this is from 2010, and it's a refractor, Bowman first autograph of Manny Machado. So it's kind of like this card in a sense where it's a first Bowman. So that means that when he was drafted, so in this case with Manny Machado, who plays for the San Diego Padres now, he's probably one of the most hated players in the league. If you YouTube him and you watch some research on Manny Machado, you realize that he's kind of a jerk. But he's really good. So this is not a PC, but when he joined forces with Fernando Tatis Jr., not the old guy, the junior, the little kid, I realized that, yeah, when he goes with Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado, I think they're gonna be a good player. They're gonna be a good team to watch. So I bought this more as an investment, and I know that I haven't looked at research recently, but I know that this card it's a safe card, and I think that one will go up, and especially it's numbered to 500. So there's 500 of these first Bowman autograph refractors out there, and look at the grades, edges 9.5, corners 9. So it's a really neat looking card. So when Vegas Dave bought the Mike Trout, it was a super refractor, I think numbered 25 maybe, and it graded really high, and it was Mike Trout. So then GaryVee, Gary Vanderchuk, he has been in finance for a long time, and he's got a YouTube channel. And so I started learning about him probably about April. I didn't know him before that. In Vegas Dave, I realized that he's important about 5 days ago. I didn't know Vegas Dave, but I knew Gary Vanderchuk. So yeah, GaryVee, he started talking about cards about maybe 3 years ago, maybe 2. And he said there's going to be a monster boom in the hobby where people are going to come in and put a bunch of money in it. And they were right, but Vegas Dave said the same thing about the same time. So they're two people trying to get attention in the world. But if I had to pick one, I would say GaryVee is who I support. So I think GaryVee is the better investment. He's the one that said, go buy Shaquille O'Neal cards. So I did, and I bought a bunch of Shaquille O'Neal cards, and they tripled in price before they came in the mail. But they're here now. They're all set. So when we do a mail day, I'll show you those cards. There's an Ultra and a Stadium Club, and an Ultra insert. There's some really cool cards. Okay? Yeah, so GaryVee. I support that dude. GaryVee. All right. Next hobby, or next question, we have Brian from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Okay. And it says, how do you organize your cards? Well, you know what? I have some cards in my garage. I have some now in my kitchen with my card studio. I have some in my living room. I have some in my bedroom. And actually the living room downstairs has some cards too. So I got them all over, but actually I know where all the cards are. So they're really organized. The only cards I don't have organized in my collection are the ones in the packages that will open soon, and in the collection that I bought on Super Bowl Sunday. Other than that, all of my million cards, they're organized. They are. And I even got like all my Cal Ripkens together, so I have about 4,000 or 5,000 Cal Ripkens, and I don't really PC him, I buy a lot of collections. And if we think about what the biggest collection I bought, you know, I probably had about 4 vanfuls this summer that I bought. Over the course of about a month, I got about a van full every couple weeks until I could make more room. So about a van full is about, say 150,000 cards in a van. So I don't know like metric and the customary US unit, but I would say a van full of cards is about 150,000. So what I do is I organize them into players. And I would love to show you the list of players I have. So for baseball in general, I pull out probably about 400 players, and I got all of them in my head. So when I take a stack of cards, I can sort them into 4 different piles. I can have the stars like Cal Ripken, Ken Griffey, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Ichiro Suzuki, Albert Pujols, Miguel Cabrera, that kind of range. That goes in the stars, and then unlisted stars. And those are kind of the Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, Joe Mauer, Manny Machado, Nolan Ariano. Those kind of go in the unlisted stars. And then I have minor stars, which is probably about 300 players. And that's like Jay Buhner and Ken Caminetti. And all the Minnesotan fans out there, we have Gary Gaetti and Bert Blyleven. He made the Hall of Fame recently. So with that, I have about 300 to 400 players that I separate. And then I also, when I get a big collection, I put the rookie pile. So any of the rookies that are about 50 cents or more, I keep. And then I put inserts of not players that are good. Like if I get a Vince Coleman, Topps Gold, you know, it's probably worth 25 cents. So I put it in an insert and parallel common pile. And then my last stack is kind of the Hall of Famers, but it's kind of those sets that are made 20 years after they retire. So it's got like Roberto Clemente and Mickey Mantle, those folks. So I really have for baseball, when I do sorting, I have about 10 piles. So I have 10 piles for baseball, then I have 10 piles for basketball, 10 piles for football. So when I get a monster collection, and I haven't even looked at these yet. So these are brand new to me. And if I give you a little cross section, so I see a couple things. I notice we have some Sports Illustrated for kids here. Star is a minor league set. Just by that little bit, I can tell it's 1987 Donruss. Here we have 1991 Donruss. And I think this is 92 Leaf. Yep, 92 Leaf. Ooh, we have 1990 Donruss. And these are some new tops. So these are from 2020 tops. Miguel Cabrera, I've mentioned that guy. Ooh, it's from the update set. Ooh, exciting. Okay, so I love when my friend gets a bunch of new packs, and then I get to see these new cards. So I like the update because they have their rookie debut, and I'm looking for that Bo Bichette. Nope, not this pile. So that kind of gives you an idea. So when I get this stack, So I take out some players, but out of a stack this big, I probably only end up keeping about that many. So then what I do with these is I put them in boxes and I pretty much give them away. Okay? Or I sell probably 5,000 cards for about $1. It's more just I need them out of my house because they take up space. So when I talk about 1 million cards, I'm talking about no commons. I'm talking about nothing really under 50 cents. Okay. Thank you, Brian from Milwaukee. Okay. All right, so this one is from Luis from Dallas, Texas. He's talking about, are you a Bgs fan or a Psa fan? You know, I was doing some research last night and I found out that BGS, which is Beckett graded system, something like that, they up their prices. So with a pandemic, they've realized that they can't keep up. They probably stopped what they were doing for a couple months, maybe if they had to contact trace, and that's a pandemic term. And with that, they've had so many back orders where they had to up the price. And I saw some people that made some content last night. They said, well, I think it would be better for them if they just stopped taking new cards and kind of just got caught up and kept the prices low, which I agree with that. PSA, you can send a card and you can get all slabbed up for about $10. If you're willing to wait a whole year, if I open that, it's going to swing open. I'm going to break something again. So for a PSA card, you can pay $10, but you have to wait a whole year. The cheapest option for BGS is about $28. So the price of BGS is almost 3 times the value of PSA right now. And if we look at that, you might think, oh yeah, BGS cards must be a lot more. They're about half the price. So you have a situation where the BGS grading system is about 2.5 times the value, but the cards aren't worth as much. You know, I do think it's cool. Like when I looked at that Manny Machado, they have those subgrades on there. So it tells you the corners got this grade, the surface got this grade. You know, I like that. And I like the thickness of the BGS slabs. But I think PSA, it's safer because they're going to be around in 10 years for sure. BGS might go under business. They might go bankrupt. But then also there's some new companies like HGA, and they have really cool slabs that are all like splash of paint. But I need to wait. I need to see if people actually buy the cards on eBay. I see there's a Bo Bichette, HGA Bo Bichette Topps Chrome Refractor. So I've been looking at that one, but it's already at 150, and I'm thinking that's a little bit too much for me. So I think I'm gonna pass on that one. Okay. Ooh, next question. Oh, international now. This is getting big. So this is from London. Oh, wow, this is exciting. So Jennifer from London. Wow. Do you give giveaways? Well, absolutely, I would love to. I'm not gonna send them overseas though because shipping is too much. But if you live in the United States of America or Canada, I think I'm okay to give them to the neighbors to the north. But other than that, shipping gets too much. So yeah, absolutely, I would love to do giveaways. And I think for me, the amount of cards that I have, I'm fine with giving away some good value too, because if you can prove to me that you like a player, so like if I say, ooh, maybe it's PC giveaway time, boom, 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 and then people say, I say, who's your favorite player? And if they say Kent Hrbek, yay, I can send you 1,000 Kent Hrbeks for free. So I think if I do giveaways, it's gonna be more PC giveaways where I don't wanna hear about you wanting like Mike Trout. Yeah, I know he's good. Or if you like Kobe Bryant best, or Kawhi Leonard Prism best, Jordan is your favorite player, I'm gonna say, well, you probably also like the Patriots for years, and you probably also like the Buccaneers now. So I'm gonna say, dig a little deeper, think about another player that you like. So yes, giveaways, once we get some more subscribers, and those are people that follow the YouTube channel. So if we get more subscribers, yeah, let's start that. Maybe when we have 20 subscribers, we'll have that conversation. Okay, yeah, what are you selling? Okay, and this is, oh, from Cincinnati, Ohio, Tom. Hello, Tom. Okay, so for me personally, you know, you think of the GOATs. When you think of basketball, you think of Kobe, you think of LeBron and MJ. Those are the three, if we look at the card market right now, those are the three that are going way, 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 way up. So when I think about that, I think about, I need to sell now. Because you know what? Part of what Vegas Dave say about the market's gonna crash, he mentioned that about 2024, he said the market's gonna crash. There's some truth to that. And I think BGS, they might crash. And I'm also thinking there's certain cards that have Kobe Bryant that are going way too high. There's some cards that are undervalued still, but there's a lot of Kobe Bryant cards that are too high. If we think of his second year tops, 1997-98 tops, it shouldn't be $75 for a card that's not graded. That's way too much. I had 40 of those at one point. And when I got rid of them, I valued them about 50 cents. And that's kind of where they should be, but now I think $4 or $5 is still plenty of cash to pay for those. I think the tops. A Topps Kobe Bryant should not sell for $500 to $700 ungraded. I was buying them for years for $5 a piece. That's why I gave them away to my students, because they were $5 a piece. They shouldn't sell for $700 now. They shouldn't. So I feel like with Vegas Dave, yes, some cards are going to be corrected. But some cards are going to go up. You think about the Kobe Bryant Finest or Kobe Bryant Ultra or Kobe Bryant SP, those are undervalued. And if we think about 15, 20 years ago, those cards were higher than Topps. Topps was in the Beckett for about $10 to $15, where you'd have the Ultra was 20, SP was probably 25, Finest was about 80. So when you're telling me that an $80 card 15 years ago compared to a $12 Topps card, how is the Topps going for that much more? I don't know. And I know that they're Topps cards and they have the name recognition. You know, baseball is in their 70th year this year. I get that. I do. I really do. But come on, man. I don't think so. So I'm going to be selling my Kobe's, I'm going to sell my LeBrons, and I'm going to sell my MJs. Because I've sold almost all of them already. So the ones that I have are ones I've just gotten in the last 6 months. So here are some Kobe's that I'll be selling. Okay, they're inserts, early inserts. None of these are rookies. But these are all good condition cards. Probably a PSA 8 and 9. I'm not going to lie and say they're 10s. But these are all ones that I've just gotten in big lots. So when I buy collections, you get cards. So what I like about the photography of Kobe Bryant, it seems like all of the Kobe Bryant cards in his first 4 or 5 years, they all pick neat photos. So when I think about this lot, there's 10 cards. Ooh, this is a Sports Illustrated for kids. Hard to get this in good condition because the kids, you know, when they check it out from the library, they just don't return it. They rip it out and they keep the cards. I didn't do that. Okay, Kobe and Kobe. Okay, so when I'm thinking for this, I think I could get an easy $100 for these 10 cards. And if I think about $10 for each card, especially this one, I think if I sold this one alone, it's Chrome from, okay, he's third year in the NBA. So this is from 98, 99, Chrome. So I talked about the Vince Carter rookies that I bought. So now I bought them for $242.99. Now one sold last night for $450. So just in 48 hours, the price of that card went up $200. One of them came in the mail today. Okay, so I think about these 10 cards. I'm going to showcase this. I'm going to make an array, a 2x5 array, and I'll line them up so you can see them nice and clear in the first picture. I'm going to lay them down on the ground, and then I'm going to use these, and I'm going to have 5 that are standing and 5 that are on the floor. And I think if I showcase it just right, I think I can get 100, but I could see 2 people really wanting it, especially this Sports Illustrated for kids, and I could see it about 200. This brings me to a good point. I found a lot on eBay. It was a total of 16 cards. I appreciate this guy. Maybe his name is Dan Jess, 33. I don't know if 33 is part of his last name or if it's just a number that he likes, but Dan Jess. Okay, so he's an eBayer, and he's got a lot of cards out there, and I sent him a message saying, you know what? Kudos to you. You organized this lot, and you shouldn't have got more than 100, but he got $280, okay? Because he knew what he was doing. He showcased the best cards. He made a nice array, and as a teacher, I love that. Thank you for making it all clear. A 4x4 array. If there was 15 cards here, you could make a 3x5 array, but it's really neat like this. Okay, so he took the main page, showcased it, and for me, I can look on each one of these pictures clearly and I can tell you how much I personally would pay. Okay, so if we look at the metal insert, I would pay about 10 to 12 bucks for that. I'm not big on metal right now, so probably 5 or 6. 5 or 6 on another garnet insert. Maybe $2, $3, $3, $5, $4. I would pay $5, 2, about 5 or 6, 50 cents. Yeah, I don't like those ones. SPX, good investment right there. I'd say $3. I haven't seen this insert, so I know it's a little more rare. I'd say probably 5 or 6. And then we have, is that the, looks like Topps Chrome. These are gonna go up. I would say about $10 I would pay for this. This is a sleeper. And then the Topps 50, the silver foil you used to get. So when I added those up in my head, I'm thinking, oh, what would I pay per card? And I came up with about $80. So kudos to you. The way that you showcased it, you made a lot more money than you should have, okay? So again, when I think about eBay fees and people complain about 14%, be like Dan, do better. Do better. Pictures are everything. Good job. I will buy from, well, I probably won't buy from you because other people are gonna pay too much. But kudos to you, I can't rip you off because you know what you're doing. Good job. Okay, next question. Okay, do you like sets? And this is from Carmen in San Diego. Oh, cool. Okay, so do you like sets? No, I don't. I don't like sets because they take up a lot of space. You know, I used to work at that card shop, and I used to have a lot of sets. I would buy sets for like $8, and I would showcase probably the Frank Thomas, Sammy Sosa. So it was 1990. And at the card shop, I could buy them for about $5 a piece. And you know what? When I moved from my apartment to my house, I had a whole bunch of sets, and I didn't see the value in them. So I took them all apart, and I about 75% of those cards, you know, I just got rid of, and the rest of them I put in player lots. And I had about 5 or 6 Topps Kobe Bryant that year. Maybe I should have kept those together because I think as a set I could have sold them, but I decided to take them all apart, which is fine because I'm not a set person. I'm not a set builder. The only set that I would think of, oh, that would be neat, is some of the older vintage baseball. I think that would be really cool to one day learn more about that, do some research, and then become an expert on doing maybe a 60s or a 70s set. I think that would be really cool. And then when you find these better conditioned cards, then you trade them, and then you sell the one that is not as good to kind of use money to buy the other cards. So if I did sets ever in my life, it would be vintage baseball. Okay. Thank you, Carmen from San Diego. Thank you. Okay, biggest thrill in the hobby. You know, for me, I think of the biggest thrill I have is when I buy a collection. And I sit down on the couch, I make a playlist of research videos, and then I just sit on my butt for 5 hours. That is my thrill. I love that. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, well, I'm just looking around to see if I forgot anything, but you know, I talked about the Kobe's, I talked about the Garnett, I talked about GaryVee. Shout out to GaryVee. I think you're right. And I suspect that you are 100% honest. I feel like Vegas Dave, I'm not going to listen to you because you invest in a couple things that I think are kind of like a red flag. So Vegas Dave invests a lot of money in purses and Derek Carr. But I mean, I don't want to judge him because I kind of do the same thing where I think Derek Carr is definitely one that I'm buying too, especially his autographs and chrome rookies. But they're not a PC and they're not a focal point of my time on eBay. But yeah, I have some Derek Carr, and with the purses, they're not for me. I have 2 daughters, and sometimes I buy purses at Savers and Goodwill for $2, and they like shiny too. So when I come home with a purse for $2, they're like, oh, that's neat. And then, yeah, that's cool. So, okay. Do you guys have any questions? Okay, well, it's been real fun. We'll see you again. And I'm thinking on Saturday, I'm gonna open up some cards. And I think by Saturday, I should have a couple other cards that I'm hoping to share with you. So, okay, well, have a good night, guys.